Good morning and welcome back to the Ask Dr. Renee show here at Black Doctor. I am so excited to do this show this morning because it's very, very special topic. And one of my very good friends from Black Doctor, she's been on before and she is amazing at what she does. We're going to let her talk about what she does. But I'm so excited to talk about this because sometimes things get stuck in 1 month when they really shouldn't be because it's something we should think about every day, especially as Black women. So, first, I want to tell everyone to please share this broadcast because inevitably you know someone, and if you don't know someone, they know someone that is being affected by breast cancer or anything with breast health because you know a woman or a girl or someone who has breasts. Men have them too, remember. So, please, please, please share the broadcast. Let us know where you're watching from. We really, really, really appreciate if you let us know where you're watching from. And if you have questions, type them in the chat. And if we get a chance to, we will try and get them addressed. But otherwise, maybe we can get to them after the broadcast. Okay. So here's my guest. Good morning, Dr. Ryland Gore.
Good morning, Dr. Renee. How are you?
I am fabulous. How are you?
I'm excellent. I'm excellent. Thank you for having me because
Oh,
I love to run my mouth about breast health and breast cancer.
yes. Thank you. Thank you. So, you guys, she is a breast surgeon. So, please tell us really wonderfully about, first of all, I know that you aren't just a breast surgeon. How did you get there as far as, training wise? And I'm sure you are actually something else before you were a breast surgeon. So, it's your turn.
Yeah, so I knew that I always wanted to do women's health. I actually thought I was going to be an OB-GYN. And, we get to med school and you go through your rotations. I had no idea that I would love surgery the way I love surgery. And I stuck with it. And I got to OB-GYN and realized it wasn't for me. And so by the time I got to residency doing general surgery residency, um, it was a hard decision because you're trying to figure out what lane am I going to be in? Am I going to be a generalist? Am I going to try to specialize in something? And so to get this revelation that I could still do women's health while being a surgeon was absolutely amazing to me. So I decided to specialize in breast surgical oncology. And the rest is history. I did my fellowship after finishing general surgery residency. And I've just been plugging along ever since, taking care of women and men with, breast cancer and other breast health issues.
Awesome. Awesome. So, you guys, in case you haven't been to our website, blackdoctor.org, please visit the website. There's links in our post. We have 2 articles this week that we're talking about breast health. So, we're talking about changes in your nipples, which Dr. Ryland Gore is going to talk about that with us. And then we're also talking about, I forgot, breast cancer something. But
Cost,
thank
cost.
you. Yes, cost to get your mammograms and all that great stuff. Okay, so let's start with the changes and the nipple changes. Can you please
Mhm.
talk about that? Because that is very interesting and requires people to really pay attention when I think people don't pay attention.
People don't pay attention to their bodies and to their health. People don't know what their own breasts feel like. And that just always blows my mind. Some women will come in with huge masses or huge changes to the skin of the breast and say, "Oh, I didn't know." How? You're looking at yourself every single day. So, first of all, public service announcement, you should know how your body feels, how your breast feels, how they look, so that you can recognize changes and advocate for yourself when it's time to do that. And so, nipple changes, as the article states, it's a lovely article, can be one of the first signs of an underlying breast issue that needs to be worked up. So, any kind of new nipple inversion, there are some women who have inverted nipples. It's been that way their whole lives. These aren't the women I'm talking about or the men I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who have nipples that are pointed outward, and then magically one day, all of a sudden, one or both nipples start to pull in. That's a problem, and it could potentially be a sign of an underlying mass or underlying cancer. Another major issue that I see, new rashes. And, don't blame it on eczema. Yes, eczema and other skin conditions are more likely to affect African Americans and other people of color, but don't ignore this. So, a new nipple rash that appears to be eczema crusted over, any kind of discharges, weeping of the skin, that can be a sign of something called Paget's disease, which can be the first indicator of an underlying breast cancer, whether it's invasive or non-invasive. Nipple discharge is a weird thing because Women breastfeed, women become pregnant, you're lactating. So many other things can cause nipple discharge. And so things that we look at are laterality and color and progression. How long has this been going on? So sometimes, especially after a woman goes through hormonal changes, the milk ducts behind the nipple can become enlarged and just hold debris and old cells. And so nipple discharge isn't always bad. Yellow, green, weird colors can come out. These aren't the things that scare me. The things that scare me is when nipple discharge is from one side, one specific duct. You can see it come out of one single area of the nipple. And especially if it's clear, if it's spontaneous, meaning you didn't stimulate the nipple, or a partner or whoever did not stimulate the nipple and nipple discharge is coming out, or if it's bloody, all of these are red flags and require workup.
Okay, so I have a question. So if you people wear those pasties or whatever, and your nipple goes inside, and then you take off the pasty and then you just pop it out, is that something to be?
No, that doesn't bother me as much. But again, I always say err on the side of caution. If it's fine and you know that your nipples are going to go in when you wear your pasties or whatever, fine, whatever. But for most people who notice nipple issues, it's just something that all of a sudden happens, and it has just progressed. And those are the things that are red flags to me. There are people who come in, if you're breastfeeding, don't come into my office talking about nipple discharge. We know you got nipple discharge. Okay. You're feeding a whole human. But, there are some people, nipple rings, nipple, what is it called when people, modifications, any kind of body modifications. That's not so much as a red flag because you did that intentionally. But when the changes are spontaneous, there is no triggering event. There are no bug bites. There are no changes in your routines. There are no changes in products you use, and you're noticing these differences, red flag. And the nipples, also nipple discharge that's spontaneous, meaning, as I mentioned before, not you playing with your nipples, but you were just going about your day, and then you took your clothes off at the end of the day, and now you see a wet spot in your bra. Red flag.
What I was gonna say, I should write things down, I tell you. Oh, when I was in med school, it was a surgery rotation. We operated on this lady who literally her breast looked like an orange, like just like what we saw in the books. It looked exactly like that. And I, for the life of me, wanted to shake her. And it was a Black woman too. I wanted to shake her and say, ma'am, you didn't notice? Because this didn't happen overnight. You didn't notice this? I mean, literally, her whole boob and nipple and all looked like an orange. It was all dimpled like an orange. And it was hard.
So, as you know, we call that peau d'orange changes.
Yep.
It literally means orange peel, skin of an orange, y'all. And this is major red flag for inflammatory breast cancer, which is also more likely to affect Black women. And it's when the cancer is so diffuse that it begins to invade the lymphatics and the dermis of the skin. Red flag. And it's considered very aggressive disease and requires immediate workup, usually chemotherapy first.
Yeah, so that blew me away. And then I had a friend that was like, oh, Renee, you're a doctor. Look at and it was just, I've never seen a breast that was so deformed. And I was like, oh my God. And I don't think I ever in my life saw cancer, but I knew that day that I did. Mm-hmm. And I was right. I was very calm about it because I want to,
right,
get her rattled. But I was like, you need to go to the doctor because they need to look at this now. Unfortunately, she is no longer with us. But yeah, it's really important. I think that it blew me away when I found out, just talking to friends, because I went through a period. I think it was when I turned 40. I always had a full length mirror, but I never paid attention. Oh no. I started standing in front of the mirror every day. Now, mind you, I was like 70 pounds heavier than I am today. But I would stand in front of the mirror every day and just go off and say all these lovely things about myself. And yes. And you don't have to do that, but please stand in front of the mirror so you know what you look like, because you cannot you can't expect the doctor who sees you maybe once a year for your annual, yes, they take notes, but you can't expect them to remember all of the
Right.
information. But you need to look at yourself, because you may need to go in
Please,
between that 12 months because
please,
there's something.
please. The number of women, I'm such a huge proponent of knowing your body and knowing yourself. And so organizations, I'm not going to call out any organization by name, will say, hey, breast self-examinations don't make a difference. Yes, they
Yes,
do.
they do.
And the number of women that I know who've found their own cancers, knowing what your body feels like, going in every single year, getting your imaging studies done. So your mammogram every year starting at 40, it makes a difference. I've had women who get their mammograms like clockwork and develop a cancer in between normal mammograms. So many crazy things happen, but especially for
Yeah.
Black women, Hispanic women, we are diagnosed at the same rates as white women, but 40% more likely to die from breast cancer. That should not be so.
That shouldn't be.
We're more likely to be diagnosed with the most advanced forms of breast cancer, later stages, the most aggressive forms of breast cancer, particularly triple negative breast cancer. And so it's serious.
And it really, at this point, it doesn't matter if you had a family history or not. Unfortunately,
family history does not matter. It
as I
does not.
said, it doesn't matter. You just need to go and get your mammogram.
75% of women with a new breast cancer diagnosis do not have a family history.
Say the percentage again.
75% of women who have a new breast cancer diagnosis do not have a family history.
So please, and I have another story. At 36, my doctor, my OBGYN said, I just want you to get a baseline mammogram. Now, mind you, I had been getting myself prepared for this 40-year-old. I'm going to get a mammogram.
Happy. I'm going to tell you why. That makes me happy.
So I was like, I'm gonna, 40, that's when I have to. And I will be very transparent here. You guys know you're my audience. I wear a 36G bra. Okay. So, well, I did before I lost some weight. So I was like, no, squeeze my girls, please. So my whole thought, and I'm not joking, was that by the time I turn 40, I'm 47 now. By the time I turn 40, they're going to have new technology and they won't have to squeeze my breasts to do the mammogram. I'm telling you, I was banking on it. I was banking on that because I don't tolerate pain at all. And I was like, I'm sorry, but that just looks really painful. I have big boobs and that just looks like that's not going to be comfortable for me. So 36, she says, well, I want you to have a baseline mammogram. I go, what? I'm not 40. Right. I want you to go. And Dr. Patrice Harold in Southfield, Michigan, she's amazing. And she's my mentor as well. She was like, no, I'm serious. And I was like, okay. She gave me that prescription and I really do try to be a compliant patient. So I was like, okay. So I made the appointment and I went to Mercy Hospital, which no longer exists in Chicago. And, and I went and I did it and it was okay. Like I was like, oh my God, that wasn't awful. I think the word to use was uncomfortable. And I think the most uncomfortable was because it was cold.
Right.
But it wasn't even that bad, and I was like, oh my God, that wasn't awful. Okay. So turn 40, it's no big deal because I did it at 36. So I'm like, cool. Like, I did this before. I'm cool. I go in, same thing, went to Mercy again. It was a wonderful experience. They were so wonderful. I get a call 24 hours later. I was like, oh my God, I'm in Atlanta at the CNN building with my clients. And I'm like, why is Mercy calling me? I just was there yesterday. And it's 24 hours later, like, this isn't good. So I call back as soon as we get in the car. And the lady who called me, she wasn't available or something. So I had to leave a message. So then later in the day, because that was morning, later in the day, I call back again, like, hi, and she's still not available, whatever. So then when I called back the third time, she actually answered the phone. She had a distinct accent, so I knew it was her. And I was like, hi. I told her who I was. And I was like, you called and left me a message. And she was like, oh, we need you to come back. And I was like, why? And she's like, oh, your mammogram was incomplete. I go, no, I'm a doctor. So you can tell me, just tell me what it is. Spill it. I need to know. I am a physician. She's like, it was incomplete. So my clients were OBGYNs. And so when I told them, they said that actually often happens for people our age. And I was like, oh, okay. So I'm not worried. make the appointment, and we got, and I go in there. So when I go in there, the tech was a Black woman.
Yeah.
And she was like, I have to get way back here, because that's where they
yeah.
found it. Girl, I think I turned white. The lady was like, she goes, they didn't tell you.
That's
I go,
so
no.
ignorant, because you specifically asked, like, tell me what's going on.
I go, no. And she goes, I could tell. And I was like, so now I'm sick. Yeah. So I go, okay. And she goes, well, the good news is you will know before you leave here today.
Yeah.
I said, okay, thank you. So we proceed. They apparently had found something in the back of my
Probably
my
close
left
to the
breast.
pec muscle. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she was trying to get, but we got it done. And so I went and sat in the low room, and the lady came, and the nurse that came, she looked like Positive Patty. If anyone's seen Sister Act, just a bowl of sunshine. She was just so, I was like, oh, great. She comes back. Come on, Dr. Renee. I go in there and we sit down, and she goes, okay, they found something. Oh my God. I was like, take me now. Jesus, no. So I am like about to have a heart attack.
I know.
So
yeah.
She said they need to do a biopsy. The good news is we can get you in tomorrow at 12:30. I said, I'll take it.
Right.
It's like now, mind you, I had video to shoot for Black Doctor that next morning, and I hadn't told anybody but my mother, but I was just like, what happened was the videographer ended up being late, and she ended up having to drive me to the appointment. And do you know, unfortunately, that young lady had cancer, and she died, I want to say last year, but she's the one that drove. Yeah, crazy, right? So my mom is a priest. 2, my mother, you should not tell her anything because she worries and she gets sick, but she's a priest. So literally, Mercy Hospital, if anyone knows, literally was 4 blocks from where I lived. I get in the lift and call my mom. Mommy, they found something. I was like, my sister's like, why would you tell her? I go, because she got Jesus on the main line, and I need her to tell him what she wants today because I am worried. And my mom's like, well, I think that, someone in the family had cystic breast, so used to have cysts all the time. So I think it's nothing to worry about. I said, well, I hope you're right. So I went through that biopsy. That biopsy was one of the worst things I've ever experienced.
I'm sure.
My hand was like this for hours. And I was laying, and I took a picture of the table and sent it to my sister, my mom. My sister says, Ree, your boob goes in that hole? I said, yes. And so I'm laying on the table, and my boob is falling in the hole. And the doctor's underneath the table. It was the hardest thing, most uncomfortable, but I got it done, and they found it was nothing. They put a metal clip in there. Yeah, and said, they'll know from now on when you have mammograms that this is where you had it done, and so they can keep an eye on it and whatever. And that was that. And I was so thankful. And like I said, I'm 47 now. I've had many mammograms since, and all's good. We're fine. But when I tell you, I was nervous Nelly. But the other good thing was that it was what they saw was so small that I know that it would have been way early staging too. So, early detection is the key.
It's important. It's the key. And mammograms can catch, if it is a malignancy, let's be very clear, 80% of biopsies are benign. But if it does catch something, mammograms will can catch cancers up to 2 years before they become palpable, meaning you can feel it. And so if I can feel it, you're probably already at least a stage 2. Okay. And we want to catch it early. But what I was going to say, what made me so excited about this woman, this physician who was ahead of her time and at 36 wanted you to get a mammogram, because it's actually recommended. Black women, Hispanic women, were more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer before the age of 40. The youngest patient who was Black that I diagnosed was 19.
Oh,
19. So it's actually recommended. These recommendations came out 5 years ago, April 2018. A joint statement from the American College of Radiology and the Society of Breast Imaging that Black women should probably actually start getting their mammograms at 35 because they're more likely to be diagnosed with breast cancer before the age of 40. And so this is something that I've done it. I'm 40 now, but I definitely started my mammograms before the age. I see too much, as physicians, we know too much at this point, and so I've been started my mammograms, but it's something that I try to do and advocate for for my patients as well. And I think I've done a pretty good job, and that my patients are really on it when it comes to this. And,
So the other part of this was the cost. So I know somebody's going to say, well, I don't have insurance. And that was the one thing I will tell you. When she told me at 36, she's like, you have health insurance? I was like, I do. And she's like, just call and make sure, but I'm sure they'll cover it. And she was right. It was covered. I didn't pay anything. So just real quickly run into how can we go get mammograms?
So many places. So it's hard because screening mammograms are covered, right? But God forbid you need diagnostics, biopsies, whatever. You will go down the rabbit hole with all kind of bills. And even with insurance, that's the part that sucks. Even with insurance, the cost to patients can be cumbersome. If patients aren't able to get it done at a major hospital or academic center, number one, a lot of these places have programs for women who are underinsured or uninsured and who need breast imaging, especially if there is something on exam that's worrisome for the physician. You can get it done. And they don't tell you that they have free money lying around sometimes and financial assistance, but a lot of these hospitals do. Also, there are freestanding imaging centers. Now, the key to that is if you're not going to get it done at a major hospital, I would ask the physician, where do they send patients who are uninsured or underinsured? There is an out-of-pocket cost, but at least the pricing is transparent. And so okay, screening mammogram is going to be $50 or diagnostic, whatever. And so here in Atlanta, I have a place that I use that is very trustworthy, and they don't miss. They never miss. They do an amazing job. Organizations like American Cancer Society, Susan G. Komen, try your departments of health. Every single state has a Department of Health. The Georgia Department of Public Health has a program, and insurance for women who are diagnosed with breast and cervical cancer. And you can also get imaging studies performed if there's something suspicious.
Yeah.
And then there's safety net hospitals. So when I was training in Chicago, I trained at Rush, but we also were the general surgery coverage for Cook County. And so go to your public
county hospital, Grady in Atlanta. I mean,
in Atlanta, go to Grady.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's no reason. And if you go and they don't tell you what you need to hear, then keep moving and keep asking, because I have another story of somebody who was very young. She was 20 something, I think. And she felt something. Her doctor said she was too young and sent her back home. And so then by the time it was diagnosed, she was stage 3 or 4.
This happens so.
She is still here. Thank you, Jesus.
This happens so much, though. I just
yeah.
want to say that's extremely upsetting, and just a call to action for people. And it's hard sometimes standing up for yourself within the medical system. Advocate for yourself, and if you're not getting what you need, get a second opinion, a third opinion. You have to keep going. Not everybody is Dr. Gore, not to toot my own horn, but I pride myself on taking every single patient seriously. Not everybody is Dr. Renee. And so if you're not getting what you are not too young for anything at this point.
It's crazy. And just like you said,
my youngest patient is 19.
Yeah, we have way too much knowledge. So just like as soon as the insurance said it would cover the colonoscopy at 45, guess who was there? I had my colonoscopy. I was like, and so I can tell you it wasn't that bad. And so it really wasn't bad at all. I was asleep. I woke up, it was over. It was like 5 minutes to me. So it's really important that you advocate for yourself. And then the other thing is, and we say this all the time on Black Doctor, you do not have to marry these doctors. You can fire them and find someone else.
Yes. Please do. Please.
If you can go to the doctor and say, I felt something, and they come back and say, well, you're too young to feel something, go somewhere else, because that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I mean, I know our Mocha's story about how her breast cancer and how she found something and she wasn't believed either. Thankfully, she's still with us too.
Yes.
But it's so important that the doctor listens to you. And I mean, this is you, especially when you know your body. If you know your body and you know that this wasn't there yesterday. Right. So I don't know. I don't understand how the doctor could tell someone that, but that's what she was told, and she is still here. I have another friend. She was in Atlanta. She, her doctor wanted her to have a ultrasound of the breast. after the mammogram, and Blue Cross Blue Shield, because I'll put them on blast, I'm sorry, they wouldn't do it. And yeah, they wouldn't do it. And so she ended up arguing with them. Yes, they did finally end up paying for it, but she unfortunately is no longer with us. But they did finally get paid for it. But I think that delayed her diagnosis because of that issue. And I mean, if anyone wants it, ultrasounds are extremely expensive. I remember
They're so
that
expensive.
I was about to get one, and they were sending me someplace that my insurance didn't cover. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield too. I love my Blue Cross Blue Shield. I think it's excellent, but it wasn't at this one place. And thankfully the clinic was like, did you recognize that this isn't going to be covered because this clinic is this imaging center is not covered? I said, no, I didn't. She said, oh, I'm so glad I told you. Yes, that bill was like 5 G's. Thankfully, we canceled the appointment before I had it done. Crazy. But yeah, so it's not cheap. And so I understood why she had to fight, but please fight with the insurance companies if you have to. If your doctor has any suspicions and feels like that you need more imaging, then you need to go to bat.
Just push. Just go to bat and just push. And I do want to say, because I feel like somebody inevitably asks me or slides into my DMs. No, ultrasound is not an alternative to mammogram.
No,
they look at different things, y'all. I just want to put that out there.
Yeah.
And there are certain things that can be seen on mammogram that you just cannot appreciate on ultrasound. Two different imaging modalities, but they work together for us to come to a diagnosis or conclusion about what's going on with you. So just know that sometimes you will need ultrasound in addition to mammogram, but you don't get to just skip out on your mammogram. I just want to say that. Yeah. And also, I have seen such crazy things. I remember this case in fellowship. I was taking care of this woman, and one breast just felt weird. I was like, this feels very different. It was the left side. This feels very different from the right side. I don't know what's going on. Mammogram, completely normal. Ultrasound, completely normal. Like a few weeks later, even though they don't recommend this, repeated the mammogram because we were all like, what's going on? Something is different. Something is not right. And then I remember our chairman, we had to fight with insurance to get an MRI. Sure enough, that tissue was lighting up so bad, so suspicious on MRI. And sure enough, she had a cancer that was mammographically occult, meaning it was not picked up on mammogram or ultrasound, the two imaging studies that we tell you to do, where we pick up on most cancers. And so I just want people to know that if you feel, this woman advocated for herself so hard, if you feel in your gut, something is wrong, I encourage you to push until you get the answers and the closure that you need, because the team advocating for her, but also the patient strongly advocating for herself, saved her life. And she got the diagnosis and was able to be treated.
Yeah. So the key, if you took nothing away from this, is please know your body so you can recognize if something looks different. Because I guarantee you, especially as Black women, you will notice a gray hair. You will notice a pimple on your face. There's one of mine right now, and I just didn't feel like putting makeup over.
You will notice your eyebrows thinning out.
You'll notice. Exactly. You will notice all of those things in your face. Look at your whole body. I don't care if you feel like you need to lose 10, 15 pounds or whatever. Please look at your body daily and make sure that you know exactly what's going on. Check your breasts. You should check your breasts a week. Is it a before or after your cycle?
I say after your cycle, guys. And it's not just lumps. Any new dimpling, any new swelling, any new rashes, skin changes, especially when it affects just one breast and not both. Nipple inversion, looking like the whole nipple and areola are being sucked in, pulled in, caving in. There are some patients who the first sign of cancer, it's in the lymph nodes and there's nothing in the breast. Feel not just the breast, underneath the armpit, any new lumps, bumps there also. Feeling in your neck. Is there anything swelling above my collarbone? Is there anything in my neck that's weird? These are very, very important. Pay attention to your body. And I tell patients, whether you do it in the shower or on the bed, make sure you do it and see what the breasts look like when your hands are down low, with your arms by your side, and when your hands are up, because sometimes there can be pulling or dimpling that you don't notice until your arms are above your head.
Yeah. So please, please, please pay attention and then advocate for yourself. If you know that you notice something, tell somebody. And if they are like, pass you off and don't say, oh, well, we need to get you in for this imaging. Recently, I saw in a Facebook group, somebody found something. And then when they called, they couldn't get an appointment for months out. Mm-hmm. We were like, no, call this one over here and, go in. Because those 4 or 5 months or whatever could be the difference between stage 1 and stage 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. Time is not on your side. Cancer is especially in Black women, is very aggressive.
Absolutely.
Very aggressive. And so if you find something, you need to get on the horn right then and say, call the doctor and tell them this is an emergent call. I found something. I need to be checked, so that they can get the ball rolling. Because sometimes the doctor, if they call, they can get you into the mammogram faster than if you call yourself. So, absolutely. And actually that happened to me. I noticed something strange and was like, what is this? What is it? And you know what? My friend, Christia Donaldson, who has been on Black Doctor several times, unfortunately, she died of breast cancer. She had it twice. She is the founder of TGIN hair products. Thank God.
Yes, I met her at an event here in Atlanta before her passing.
She's from Detroit. I've known her since she was in the 9th grade, I think it was. So as a matter of fact, the products are in my hair right now. But she amazing, great friend. I had just went to her funeral. Her funeral was in November of 2021. And I want to say it was like the next week. And I'm like, what's, and I think I was probably paranoid because of the fact she was younger than me too.
So young. So, yes.
Yeah, she was younger than me. So I called the doctor's office and was like, I know I'm not due, but I really think I need to go have a mammogram. Something is here and I feel something. Yeah. So they got me a prescription and I went, and my insurance covered it. And thankfully there was nothing there, but it put my mind at ease, because I was very, very nervous. As a matter of fact, my mammogram was on a Sunday, because I was like, I can take it. I'll take it. Whatever payment.
It's critical. Yes.
Absolutely. I was about to drive myself nuts. So, you got to take it seriously. And you take a lot of things very seriously, but we need to all put our health first, because without your health, you won't be here.
You won't be here.
So you have to take your health very, very, very seriously. You can't, and I mean, it's really funny to me how people will change hairdressers. They'll change, their, all sorts of things.
Everything.
But they don't, the doctor. And you don't feel comfortable talking to the doctor. Well, therein lies a problem.
Yes.
You have to feel comfortable talking to the doctor.
That relationship is so important, whether it's your PCP or even, God forbid, you get a cancer diagnosis and now you have to establish a relationship with a surgeon. Take that, the same way we research these trips and itineraries and things.
Right.
Be just as intentional about your relationship with your team, because, my patients, Lord Jesus, you go into surgery thinking like, I'm just going to get it done and then bloop, bloop, I'm out. But like, I love the relationships that I've established with my patients, and you get to know these people, their families, their kids, what they have going on in their lives. And if you don't get along with that person, considering you're going to be seeing a lot of them over the next 5 years, then if it's not comfortable and not a good fit, you got to find somebody that you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because that can be a game changer too, as it relates to how well you do as you're going through your treatments. God forbid you need treatment.
So thank you so much for your time this morning. I so appreciate you. Everyone, please check out those posts. And then also, how can people get in touch with you if they want to buy them?
I'm all on social media. It's the same across the board: Facebook, IG. I don't use X as much, previously known as Twitter, for obvious reasons, but it's at Ryland Gore, MD, RYLAND GORE MD. And yeah.
So please, please, please if you do have a question, slide into her DMs and ask
Yes,
her.
please.
She
I'll
is
answer.
more than happy to help. And then also, if you need a referral for someone, you can ask us here, Black Doctor. We have a database of doctors. 1, 2, you can DM me and ask me. You can DM her and ask her.
Yes.
But I think that the best way to find a physician is to ask someone, because it's great when you get the book of all the doctors' names, but I think it can be very daunting, and seeing all those names. Talk to somebody who can say, "Oh, go to so and so," because
And
they're
it's so
really
nice
good.
to ask us because you go to who your doctor would go to, because like we're
Right.
not going to anybody raggedy.
Right. And I tell everyone, my whole team is Black. I mean, down to my feet.
Yeah.
Everyone is Black.
I
Okay.
love it.
All my doctors are Black. My teeth, my skin, my teeth, everyone is Black.
Yes.
And I actually go to doctors in different states because
Mhm.
you just have to do that. So my
Absolutely.
OBGYN is Dr. Patrice Harold still. She has been my OBGYN since I was 17, I think it was.
Yes.
And she's my mentor. And then so she's in Michigan, but my foot doctor, my allergist, my dentist, they're all in Chicago.
Yeah.
My dermatologist, we actually met virtually here on Black Doctor. We met in person for the first time last week. She is in New York City. And but I'm pleased as punch with the way my skin
Yes.
looks. So clearly she knows what she's doing, even
You look
virtually.
fabulous. It looks
Thank
great.
you. Thank you.
Mhm.
So yeah, you have to get a team that you trust. And like as we said, there's always a way. Ask us, ask anyone. If you need to figure out, where can I go to get this done for free? Google is your best friend. But if you need to ask someone, call the hospital, just figure it out. And like she said, the hospitals have money. They're just not going to tell you up front they do.
Right.
Call them and say, I, have this diagnosis, or they think, so that they will get you in. Because I highly doubt they're going to say no. So
Yeah,
please, please,
especially
please.
with a cancer diagnosis or strong
Right.
suspicion, they have emergency funds, emergency financial assistance. And I've had patients that have been able to get their entire treatments covered by hospital financial assistance. And it can get expensive. So
Very
with that
expensive.
other article too, because without insurance, you're looking at some patients hit 7 figures, God forbid they're stage 3 or stage 4 and need continued treatments. And so ask the hospital what resources they have.
Yeah, and I know Christia has the TGIN Foundation that has been giving people providing rides, because not everyone can afford rides to the hospital, and then parking, especially in Chicago. Excuse me,
Ugh.
parking in Northwestern can be very, very, very
What a
expensive.
disaster. Yeah.
Yeah,
Chicago parking is a
is a
disaster.
disaster. Yeah, but it can be very expensive at the hospitals as well. So
Mhm.
her organization takes care of that too. They've been going through and designing waiting rooms for the different hospitals that maybe don't have as much money as Northwestern and other hospitals, so that they look very warm and welcoming to these patients as well. So kudos to that foundation. They do some really great work, and they're trying to make everything even across the board for all of us. So it doesn't matter if you're at, the most expensive private hospital versus the county hospital.
Mhm. Mhm.
But thank you so much again. And I know we'll
Yeah,
have you back again for something else, but I appreciate you. Everyone, please check
absolutely.
out, please follow her.
Thank you.
And I'm gonna put her stuff up here one more time. Follow her, but also check out those articles. And if you have questions, please type them in the comments on Facebook or YouTube or LinkedIn, or right there on the articles on blackdoctor.org. And we will see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.